Hello everyone, good evening and welcome. I'm Folasiji Bomi-Daniels, CIO of the Kabzeel Group, and I'm here to share you lessons on our 5-year journey, secrets of the wealthy place, lessons of our 5-year journey. This is episode 6. 5 years ago, a group of friends of mine and I gathered together and we decided to save, invest, and we have already created our investment pot, and this is hear me sharing lessons of that journey with you. We have recorded 5 other episodes. We've talked about general principles of the world place. We have compared our own model versus other model, because when we save together, we saved for 5 years, no withdrawals, no loans, no cashing out, essentially compounding over the years, and the results has been amazing. We've also talked about supernatural in Kabzeel. Yes, because you see, in the beginning, God, without God, there is not much left. So go catch those episodes. This is episode 6 now. And I also remember we recorded how I became the Aki farmer, because in the journey to the wealthy place, you become a wealthy person, having essentially a wealthy mindset and a wealthy component. So today we're going to look at another lesson, episode 6, and I promised this in some other episodes. So we may declassify some of our own investment portfolio and share some of our examples. So welcome to episode 6. If you have not liked, remember to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know that you're following. All right, for episode 6 today, we're talking about the pains and the gains over the last 5 years. If you remember, in episode 5, I talked about you can't lose money following God. Well, not to say that we have not lost money. We've lost money several times. So we're talking about the pains, the gains of that 5-year journey. So where do I start for pains or gains? Let's start with pains, yeah? Or one gain, one pain. In 2020, when we started, we began to cost average the dollar, and at the time we're starting, dollar went sharply from 360 to the naira. So 360 naira to the dollar rather, and to 435, and we were like, oh, this is too bad, the economy has finished, this, but we did not like that just dramatically, yeah. So well, what we then began to do is we began to cost average the dollar over and over and over again, even up till now, where today I read in the news that the naira is doing well, but it's currently still way above 1,600, clocking 1,700 to the dollar. So we have cost average, and because of that, our portfolio has increased as we have leveraged on that. Okay, now let me share some of the pains. Around 2017, there began to be the agri-tech industry began to take off in Nigeria, and because we started our own journey, so I had invested in them back then. Then when we're starting Kabzeel, I mean, it looks like one of the very good ways to go ahead, because particularly treasury bills, mutual funds, and all the likes in Nigeria at that time was now very subpar. It went from 18% in the regime of President Goodluck Jonathan, came down to around 12%, coming up to around 6 to 8% annually, and inflation was going through the roof at over 20% annually. So it was like we're losing real value. So we began to seek alternatives. That's what led us to dollar denominated investments. That's what led us to stocks, mutual funds, but also agri-tech opportunity was there. Now, one of the things we then did was we didn't directly invest as Kabzeel with these agri-tech companies. We invested instead with other cooperatives and other investment clubs. So if you know the top 3 investment clubs in Nigeria, we were part of them, and we invested with them, and then they invested in some of these agri-tech companies. And then sometimes after COVID 2021, drama began to happen. We woke up. So if for those of you that know about the lists, the red list, the green list on Nairaland, so there was a list of performing agri-tech companies, there was a list of non-performing agri-tech companies. So around 2021, we began to check, and we began to see that a lot of them began to underperform. A lot of them began to default. So we then had some of them, but because we didn't have direct investment with them, we invested instead. We pulled our investment with other investment clubs and cooperatives. I can tell you that we still have some pending investments to date. So we lost. Well, will I say lost? Well, we have not recovered yet. Some of those monies, I don't want to give specific numbers, but multiple millions. And in fact, that has led to the decline of what was then the largest investment club in Nigeria. And the lessons that I want to share from this is be ready to protect your investors beyond yourself. I mean, love others, serve others, prefer others above yourself. One of the lessons I learned from one of those investment clubs is the founder preferred the agri-tech company because they were getting commissions off of people's funds as against members of the community, and it became a very messy situation. The founder up and said, no, we have not heard, nothing will happen, more or less refused to listen to the pains of investors, compared with another investment club where the founder said, oh, this is happening, we're going to raise up our lawyers, we're going to begin to work towards it. And in fact, that particular one, I'm refusing to mention names because of course there are those investment clubs, yeah, then came up and said, but I'll give you a secret, both investment clubs I referred to are owned by ladies, yeah, by women, very powerful women, and I respect them. I did appreciate what one did, appreciate what the other did, and I'm still a member of that one. So they gathered together, got lawyers, and it became a messy legal case. And the legal process in Nigeria is tough, long, demanding. In fact, two of the investment clubs are actually in legal processes, in legal court cases. You know, you will see things like, oh, the judge could not sit today, it has been postponed, adjourned for another 6 months. Then that 6 months will come. They will say the lawyer showed up, did not show up with the complete document, adjourned for another 9 months. They'll come up, and from 2021 up until December 2024, when I'm recording this, we're still in the case. So some monies have been recovered out of the multiple millions, but less than 10, just less than 10% have been recovered, out of which we now have to pay legal fees that they used to recover. So it's been a very interesting journey. So the lesson here is be a person of integrity. I noticed with the agri-tech company, because we're now into agri, all of that led us into, instead of investing in others' farms, let's create our own system, create our own structure. And right now we have our own 54-acre farm where we have planted oil palm, and we're also opening the Palm 2 Farm City, where we're going to establish 600 acres. That's a 1,000-acre project. Just listen to the next episode where I'll talk about opportunities for people who may be interested. Yeah. But all of the lessons in the pain seasons helped us to say we need to do better. I then began to ask myself, what did the agri-tech companies do wrong? So a lot of them took short-term finance funding for long-term projects. A lot of them had more money than they could ever imagine. So, you know, some of these investment opportunities, they will open just for hours and people will literally pour in billions. And you look at it and then they're going to have to pay back in 9 months. And some of them started opening processing facility. Some of them started buying more lands. I mean, long-term, tying down capital, putting in things into capex, whereas you need to now pay out in 9 months. And it became a real of the tussle. At a point, it became obvious that they were robbing Peter to save Paul. Do you remember the dream I said when I was saved by a dream, when I talked about the episode Supernatural in Kabzeel? Go catch that, how I had a dream, and essentially God helped us out of that one. But in the lessons that we have learned from all of this is that in the midst of the crisis is an opportunity. So we look at it, are the numbers there? Can agriculture do this? Yeah, and what we've discovered that yes, agriculture can do it, but not in the short time. So right now we are positioning for long term. So the pain became a gain. Even though we lost millions, we're now on the bout to make multiple million back from our numerous agricultural opportunities. I want to look at gains, and you know, at our next AGM January next year, we'll be having money stewards. One of the gains from that is we invested with her. So I met her through a senior colleague and connected with her. She did a training with us and she was a very great example. Imagine we invested with her in UST back then in 2020 and we got our payout capital plus interest in 2022 with 30% interest. I mean, it was beautiful. It was mind-blowing. When we invested, dollar was around the region of 435 thereabouts. When we're going to get our payout, dollar had fallen to about 500, 600 at 2022, and we got interest. Another example like this, so Madam Moturayo, Adefamoti, the CEO of Money Stewards, she's faithful, she's legit. She's going to be sharing with us at this AGM. We also invested in GBP. We had the opportunity to connect with a real estate firm in the UK, and in 2022 we invested a few millions in naira in GBP. It was good. People that were able to plug in there, and we invested for 2 years. After 2 years, we then got in 14% interest back. But that's not just the beauty. At the time we were investing, pounds to the GBP was around 780. And in 2 years, this year 2024, when we're going to be receiving our payouts, pounds and the naira to the pound was now 1780. So people, just by investing and locking that, had gained value, and they still got 14% each on their money. So the investment journey has been beautiful. There's been several opportunities. For instance, when we look at our value today and what we're sitting on, we currently now own assets. So the beautiful thing about being able to invest on the long term is that we can sit down and essentially not just wait for a future, but create that future. A bad example that became good, or no, not a bad example, a trying example that became good, is Tesla. So in January 2020, we said, oh, Tesla was all the rave then, and then around COVID, Tesla was good. So we bought Tesla at 282 per share. And then Tesla danced dramatically and went under 200 for years, and it was rising and falling, and our portfolio on Tesla was really in the red. But because we're investing for the long term and we're not under any obligations until now to reveal all to declare our portfolio and all of that, we're able to hold. So we held on, and November, you all know the story, Trump won. Tesla right now, as I speak to you, is almost 350 for the first time in years. And the funny thing is that they didn't give it dividends, but also we didn't cash out. We're able to, even if it still stayed down, our overall portfolio has been good because we have stayed through the market instead of trying to time the market. So there has been more gains than pains, and the beautiful thing is that you learn lessons from the pains, and the gains are opportunity to do it again. So we have continued cost averaging, we have continued buying assets that produce. So investment is like a cycle. There's always the sowing period where you are apprehensive, you are, oh, should we not, but there's always the harvest time, and that is always beautiful. And there are two things about the harvest time. You're wondering, do we do it again, or do we just cash out and eat it and consume it all? But we have grown this much because out of the little that we have received, every time we get an investment turnover, for instance, I gave the example of money still what we got 30%. You know what we did? Put it all back in. And for the first time, when we opened our portfolio over the years, we had more than doubled. So it has been a beautiful thing, especially for members. So congratulations to members of the community. It's been a beautiful journey. Let me just see if I have one last thing to tell. Yes, one of the gifts of this is we also are now positioning for rental properties in the US because of the lessons from this. So we're positioning for rental properties in UK, rental properties also in the US. So build long-term transgenerational wealth. What started as an idea has now morphed into something that is a possibility. So as I begin to close, the final thing I would like to share is do not despise the days of little beginning. I mean, some people started contributing. All they did was contribute a minimum of 10,000 monthly. Some people the highest that anybody ever contributed was 50,000. And right now, when you look at input versus output, you will see that the days of little beginnings have grown, and still there is more. I'll talk about that and invite for those that are interested in what the new face and the new faces will be like and the opportunities we now have. But we have grown because of the gift of the people. So to members of the investment club, the 32 of you who heard about it, believed in it, started it, committed to the journey, congratulations. Here's to us in 10 years from now, seeing the beauty out of the little beginnings. I can tell you, I went to my oil palm mentor and I asked him, we have 50 acres of oil palm planted. What will be the value of this? I want to tell members of the community. And he said, I can't value for you, give you a value, a number for 50 acres, but I can tell you what you begin to earn from year 7, and you will earn consistently for 30 years. And he said, according to current rates last year, prices have gone higher this year. From 50 acres, we will make at least 45 million every year. And you know why that blows my mind off is the fact that as at now, 24 December, we've been operating that farm for a little over a year. Since April 2023, we have not spent 40 million on that farm. By 2027, when it is done 4 years and it begins to produce, we will be clocking around what we would expect for every year. So we then invested X amount, 45 million, and we're expecting 45 million every year for 30 years. Give or take expenses, give or take a lot of things, we are indeed in the world place. It has been a journey of discipline. There has been a journey of staying together. I remember season where people had emergency and pressures and they thought about contribute, about withdrawing. 2 times that happened, but they looked at it and they said, no, we're building something. So here we are, 5 years later, no withdrawals, no cash out, everybody stayed true. So it is possible. So you want to create this. I've shared the lessons, I've shared the gains, and I want to shout out to all our members that started that journey with us. From 32, we're currently over 150 in the about 150 in the investing community. We're currently about 500 in the learning community, and we're looking forward to growing in our thousands and thousands. You could not join us before, but from next episode we'll begin to talk about ways with which you can reach out to us. You can start your own investment journey. So thank you so much. A special mention to those who worked behind the scenes. As we're doing all of this, nobody, not even me, was paid a dime to do anything, because we literally had to create this. And here we are. We have journeyed, we have grown. It is now time for us to burst forth and break forth. So congratulations to everyone who has been part of the journey. You want to join us later on, there's a link to join the learning community and then find out about the investment community. So thank you so much for listening to episode 6, the pains and the gains. I'd like to hear your thoughts, your comments. Subscribe, and we'll see you for the final episode 7, where I'll be talking about the generations plans. Thank you.